living outside the law. They are the anti-government extremists next door who believe the laws don't apply to them. No driver's licenses, no taxes. And according to a report out today, these types of so-called hate or anti-government groups grew explosively last year in the U.S. One of the biggest jumps, seemingly average people who call themselves sovereign citizens, a loose confederation of Americans who can turn violent and have. Here's ABC's Dan Harris with tonight's Nightline Investigates.
The federal government considers them a, quote, extremist anti-government group.
Record, I hereby challenge this court's jurisdiction as a sovereign. I am not an American citizen. I do not recognize these. I am my counsel.
Sovereign citizens, people who believe the laws of America do not apply to them.
They have their own driver's licenses, they have their own hunting licenses, they have their own pistol permits.
Violence has gotten this group a lot of attention, but these incidents are really just the tip of the iceberg.
911. I'd like to report a shooting.
This is a movement estimated to be 300,000 strong and growing in every state in America, whose members argue they are really patriots, defenders of freedom in a country with an increasingly tyrannical government. To find out if these people are motivated by love of liberty or, as their critics say, by greed, anarchy, and bloodlust, Nightline went deep inside a notoriously press-shy movement. We started here at a diner outside Tampa, Florida.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
The first impression was striking. These are not what many of us would expect anti-government extremists to look like. They're diverse, middle-class, educated, and convinced that the government is out of control.
So he put the cuff on me, and I'm thinking false arrest, but he tightened up about 2 clicks too tight. I brought my right hand up. I said, hold it, man. I said, you got to loosen up this cuff. You're cutting off my circulation.
How dare them? How dare them?
Most insisted they are nonviolent, but not all of them ruled it out.
To sit up and be nonviolent is not going to get you anywhere. I don't want to come here with this bull crap about trying to impress the news, impress ABC News about how friendly we are. I don't give a crap how friendly anybody is. If they come at me with a gun, I got a gun too. Okay, that's what I'm about.
Next, we found ourselves at this small church in Center Point, Alabama. Donald Joe Barber, the pastor here, invited us inside for a rare look at a meeting with his congregation of sovereigns.
In your view, do you need to have a driver's license?
No.
Do you need to have license plates?
No.
What about taxes? Income tax?
No.
Why not income tax?
Because I don't live in the United States.
Where do you live?
I live in the nation Alabama.
If you are described as a domestic terrorist, and any agency can come and arrest you for domestic terrorism, they can put you away in some holding place until you die under that law.
So the way you describe it, this government is totally out of control.
Absolutely.
You think we're living in a police state right now?
Yeah.
Why do you think so?
Well, they think they have all the rights and you have none from the beginning.
Barber, who is a former photocopier salesman, has made himself into a scholar of sovereign ideology. A bizarre cobbling together of passages from obscure law books, along with parts of the Constitution and the Bible, all to justify flouting the law. People all over the country are now using sovereign theories to justify failure to repay their debts and even to occupy foreclosed homes. And when police, prosecutors, and judges stand in the way of a sovereign like Donald Barber, they often resort to a classic sovereign weapon called paper terrorism, flooding officials with paperwork. Donald Barber demanded money from this judge.
It was a demand for $4 million in gold.
Filed a $15 million lien against this judge.
Were you angry?
I went ballistic. Of course I was angry.
And Barber sent a letter to this police chief saying, you better get out of Dodge while the getting is good because a new sheriff is about to ride up on you.
You're worried that maybe they are going to follow through with, in all accounts, is a kidnapping threat, or are they going to come after your family even?
Benjamin Franklin stated that there should be a revolution every 20 years. Okay, we're a long time past due.
Do you think we need a revolution now?
I think we need a revolution, but not a violent one.
Sovereign citizens do have a history of turning violent, Terry Nichols, co-plotter of the Oklahoma City bombing, a sovereign citizen.
Did you see the plane before impact, or were you completely caught off guard?
Joe Stack, who flew his small plane into an IRS building in Austin, Texas, a sovereign citizen. And then there's Jerry and Joe Kane, a father and his 16-year-old son who used to drive around the country teaching people how to use sovereign legal theories to get out of debt.
I don't want to have to kill anybody, but if they keep messing with me, that's what it's going to have to come out.
When they were pulled over in West Memphis, Arkansas in 2010, Joe Kane burst out of the car with an assault rifle and killed 2 officers.
Oh my God.
The Kanes were later cornered and shot to death in the parking lot of a Walmart.
A call comes over my radio that says an officer down, and then it says 2 officers down.
Police Chief Bob Powdert rushed to the scene.
So as I run up the hill, one of my sergeants stopped me and says, "Chief, please don't go up there." Well, I knew then it had to be Brandon.
Brandon, the chief's son and fellow officer, was dead.
It was the most horrific day of my life. I've never experienced any kind of pain like that.
Had you ever heard of sovereign citizens before?
I had never heard the term sovereign citizens. Okay, we got sovereigns, what are we going to do?
Now Bob Powdert travels the country teaching local law enforcement officials about sovereign citizens. On our journey, we found 2 irreconcilable views of this movement. Donald Joe Barber, about to go on trial for allegedly threatening government officials and facing decades in prison, casts sovereignty in a heroic light.
Just as a soldier goes over to Iraq or to Iran or any other country to fight a battle, he's going over there because he loves his country. I can't do any less.
But for Bob Powdert, who lost his son, sovereign citizens are domestic terrorists who must be stopped.
The pain is still there. It will always be there. But it certainly gives me satisfaction knowing that probably we're saving lives, that some other family won't have to go this.
For Nightline, this is Dan Harris in Tampa, Florida.